Hey, this is Mr. Surface, and we're going to talk about how to do blackout poetry. On the left-hand side, you can see a beautiful finished project of someone who was able to take the meanings of it looks like a page of prose and turn it into a poem about sunrise and experience and light. Pretty cool. We're going to try to do the same thing on the right, and I'm going to start by suggesting that you adjust the size to match the size of the letters on the screen. So what you do is you go over here and you click this sizer, right? And that allows you to make it enormous, but you can also kind of make it a little bit smaller. I think this to me seems like a good size. All right, you want to make sure it's on pencil setting because you don't want to leave the other words over. Next step is to find an anchor word or an image that really seems to stick with you, or a word or a phrase that sticks with me. So look at the full poem. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode? Well, for me, the explosion kind of rings out. So I want to make that my anchor word. So I'm going to cross these out here, and I'm going to put like a little box around this, and I'll leave the question mark. Okay. So, explode. So, even though we usually read from left to right, I'm going to put an arrow over here that might indicate to my reader, hey, this is the type of thing that you might read in reverse, right? You can be as creative as you like with this and as uncreative as you like. You can certainly go and start at the top. Maybe you'd like your anchor word to be dream. Okay. Now let's see what happens to the meaning of the poem as we start to think about connections between dream and explode. Well, I like heavy seems to kind of match that word explode. So I'm going to get rid of the rest of that part of the stanza. All right. Or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet. Nothing there seems to particularly connect for me. Hmm. Does it stink like rotten meat? That the food just doesn't seem to connect with either dream or the word explode, so I'm getting rid of that too. Okay. Now I want to keep then run. I want to keep sun and get rid of this opening question and get rid of the rest. Now I might have a pretty minimal poem at the end of this. That's okay. I can be artistic with it later. All right, so okay. Let's say I read it from here. Dream, sun, then run, heavy, explode. Right? A very imagistic poem. So let's say I want to start to decorate it now. Maybe I want to take a moment and make the sun yellow and take a moment to show the connection between the exploding sun and the yellow, and how the dream, a heavy dream, can have a relationship to that possibly. So maybe I'll make the dream another different type of sun color, like orange, and show that the dream is heavy. And then run, maybe I'll make its own like sun related color. Maybe that'll be a bright one, right? And then maybe I'll put a full circle around it, or I'll make the explosion down here. That'll be the sun. All right. And then pow, 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 pow. And then I could use all those colors that I used previously, right? And suddenly I've got a visual, oops. And suddenly I've got a visual that kind of gives the poem a fresh meaning. Plus, I get a chance to think about the poem in a different way, too. So, as a result, we get a piece of art that goes along with the poem itself, and we changed it and created it, and now we're original. Way to be, right? Let's try it again. Maybe you didn't like that example. Let's try. Let's try this quote from Bell Hooks. When we choose to love, we choose to move against fear, against alienation and separation. The choice to love is a choice to connect, to find ourselves in the other. bell hooks. Usually she prefers her name to be in all lowercase, but I just kind of stole it from the internet. So shame on you, minimalistquotes.com. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and size again. The size here seems actually pretty appropriate, maybe a little bit bigger. Just going to drag that up. Yeet. Boom. All right, I'm going to switch back to pencil, and I'm going to choose my anchor word. And I like the word choose. I think choose would be a great anchor word. So I'm going to get rid of these other words here and see what happens to the quote. I'm going to get rid of two, and I'm going to make my anchor words here, and maybe I can change the color here to white and show. Alexa, stop. And show that these are my anchor words. Ooh, I kind of want to resize there so I can sneak it in. Okay, so I've got my anchor words now. I'm going to go back to a size that seems to work. All right. Choose love. What kind of is the opposite of love? Is fear. So let's get rid of we choose to move against fear. I do like the phrase in itself, but for my own original poetry purposes. Choose love against fear. I'm going to get rid against fear, against alienation and separation. Choice kind of goes with choose, so I want to keep that. Choice. Love is a choice to connect, to find ourselves in the other. Oh, I don't want to change it, but I kind of got to. All right. And what could I do to kind of like decorate a little bit? Well, I'll take this. I like that. And we can have maybe like a heart. Ooh. Ooh. And then maybe this can be like, it's like a choice. So like an arrow. So what if I did like a Cupid's arrow going like all the different ways? Ooh. So as you can see, it is quite possible you're more creative, and it's likely you're more creative than Mr. Surface. All right, but those are just two examples I wanted to show and make a little video for you so you have an exemplar on how to do blackout poetry. All right, good luck and enjoy.